Hi, welcome back to Art and Soul. My name is Mike Severin. I'm really glad you could join me today. Today is kind of exciting because we're going to finish up the painting we've been working on the last few weeks, and it's always fun to finish one up, but it's always exciting to start the next one. And next week, my director is absolutely in love with penguins, so we're going to start a penguin picture next week. So a little different than our mountain scenes that a lot of times we do. So that's kind of exciting and looking forward to starting that. So today what we're going to do is finish up this painting, a little landscape scene here with a little stream that's going down through with some wildflowers that we started putting in last week. And so today we're just going to come in and do some highlight things and some grasses that up close here, that just some things just to finish it off and make it just pop out and make it look a little better than what it does right now. It just looks a little unfinished, and we want to get that finished up. Before we start, I'll go through the palette, and I've got kind of some new colors, some old colors. I'll just kind of go through them really quickly. We've got our cad yellow here. I've got just straight Mars black that we're using, our titanium white as always, our dioxazine purple, yellow ochre, our burnt sienna, and we've got just this evergreen sap green color we're going to be using. And we're going to be mixing those up to get this finished up with these highlights. So let's get started. A couple of things I want to do is I want to take, first of all, and kind of highlight out some of these rocks that are in here and are at bank a little bit more than what it is now. So we'll just grab one of our number 6 Brislet brushes here, and we're going to grab in some straight yellow ochre, just a touch of the burnt sienna, and just a little bit of titanium white. So we've got a real light tan color there. And I'm just want to take and just touch just some of the tops, edges. Remember, our light source is coming in from our left upper here. So we're just doing just a few of these little highlights that are on the top of some of these rocks, just to make them pop out a little bit more. And you know, you can incorporate in as many different colors. A lot of times, especially along a stream or a body of water, there'll be a lot of different colors that'll be reflected in the rocks. And so, you know, you can kind of adjust the colors that are in there to your liking. And I say it almost every single show, you know, make this painting your own. This is your painting, it's your creation, and so it should be a reflection of what you see and not necessarily what my perception of it is. So you can see really quickly, just by a few little spots there, I didn't do a whole lot. It was just enough to make that pop a little more and make those rocks stand out. And so without cleaning the brush, I'm just going to go straight into some of that dioxazine purple, and I just want to darken up a little bit of these shadowed sides. Now we've got that gray and black that are there as our base color, and all this is doing is just bringing in just a little bit more definition of those rocks in the shadowed areas. And I've talked about it often that a lot of people kind of think it's kind of weird when I start using purples, but if you go out in nature, and I do it a lot of times with my new students that I'm teaching, I'll take them out and I'll have them squint, and where your eye isn't actually seeing, focusing on something. And if you get to looking, a lot of times the shadowed areas have kind of a purple bluish hue to them. So it's a color we see quite often in nature. And so we've done that. I think that's enough with that. You can, again, fine-tune that as much as you would like. I'd like to take a little bit and hit some of the shadowed side of our trees, just with the same color. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough just to define that out. And I try to take any place that I put a color into a painting, I try to have that same color. It doesn't have to be much in different areas of the painting. And again, it just brings in more continuity into the painting, and it just makes the eye flow better. It just seems to just make it a little more something that is pleasing to the eye. So we've done that. I think we're going to leave the highlights that we've got on the trees. I think they're enough at this point. I'd like to take now and maybe just do a little bit down here along the edge of our water. Maybe we'll just grab some of that tan that we were using on the rocks, only we'll add in a little bit of the burnt sienna just to darken it up just a wee bit. And we'll just come across, just skimming across, nothing real drastic. We want to keep that underpainting that's there, but this just will give just an indication of some ground soil that might be right here at the edge. Maybe just a few little streaks of it across up above here. You know, you can just do this as any degree that you would like, and that's the fun part of it, is just doing it and creating as you go. So I think that's pretty good. So now I want to take, we started in putting in our wildflowers, and we'll finish up those here in just a minute. But before we do, I think it's important that we put in kind of some of these grass sprigs that would be in front of the trees here, in front of these roots that are here. And then we can come in and put in another layer maybe of some of those wildflowers, and then finally do some larger grass strands that are coming up. And there's several ways of doing that little grass along underneath those trees. I'm going to do it with this same brush. I just rinsed it out. I didn't really do a whole lot with cleaning it, just enough to get the main paint out of it. So I'm grabbing some of that green, and I'm bringing in the yellows, that cad yellow into it, and it's giving us a real nice spring green that's there. And I'm just going to take, I've got the brush, if you can see, on its side rather than flat. I want to use it on its edge, and I'm just putting it and just lifting up, pushing and lifting up. And what that does is it just gives really nice little indication of some grass sprigs that are popping up there along the edge of those trees. And if you notice, I'm going different directions with it. I'm not just going straight up. Grass oftentimes depends on the winds or whatever might make it go off to the side, and so we just kind of want to vary that so that it looks right, looks authentic. And so as you can see, I just did a few little spots of grass right along there. I'm going to grab just a little more of the cad yellow in that. And I think I want to do something a little bit down here, just to break up that where it's coming into the more towards the foreground of the stream. And so I'm just taking and doing the exact same thing I did over there with the trees, just kind of putting in just some indications of some grass that's up along the bank there. And like I said, we did this over here, so I want to take and bring some of that in over here. So I'm going to do the same thing right over here by these trees, maybe right here in front of these little bushes. And by doing that, it ties it together. And I think that's really important to keep in mind. And this in the background, now that I'm looking at it with bringing these brighter greens in, I think this background, the middle ground needs a little bit more of a punch. So I'm just going to take and just with ever so slightly, just really just scrub just a little bit into that background. And what that does is it just gives the indication that there's more of an idea of definition of some grassed areas. And what it does as well is it makes it look like the sun is highlighting and hitting a few of those spots, which makes it just a little more realistic. Right down along the edge of that water there, that looks good like that. And you can see all I'm doing is just doing a little light scrubbing back and forth, letting the canvas basically just pull off some color. And just by that little bit, it really gave a little more depth into that painting. I want to do this right along this edge here of the water. I think yeah, that makes that pop out a little better. You know, I say it all the time, you know, at home, when you've got the time, you know, you can take and redefine these down as much as you would like. In fact, it's kind of a little bit of a situation that I'm working with right now. So much of what I paint has been similar to what's here on the show, and it's really quick, loose paintings. And I've really desired and wanted to do some of the really fine art that I have done in the past. And so those a lot of times would take hundreds of hours to do. And I'm not doing quite that level now, but here in the last few weeks, I've started doing some paintings that are taking more like 15 or 20 hours rather than maybe 5-hour paintings. Just a little more definition and fine art. You can do the same thing with your own paintings. The ones that we're doing here on the show, you can take those and work them and bring in more detail, until they really can almost look photographic in the end. And if that's your desire to do, then then go for it. It's one of those things you need to do what makes you happy and is going to fulfill you as an artist. And so that's just my own little, just some insight into my own situation. And I think you'll find as you develop as an artist, you're going to have those different things that come along, and that's part of the fun process of growing as an artist. So we've done now highlights on our rocks, done some with our trees, some of that green that we've brought in with those little sprigs of grass. Now what I want to do is I want to take and hit just a few more of these wildflowers that are here, and then we'll finish it up with some of those big tall grass things that are coming up there. So to begin with, how we do that, if you remember from last week, I think I used a different brush. I think I just used my 1-inch brush last week to make those wildflowers. Today I'm going to use the fan brush just as a different way of showing you that you can do it. There's not either one is right or wrong. It's just they're just different approaches to it. And so figure out which brush works for you, and you can do it yourself. So basically I'm double loading up my brush here. One side has got that dioxazine purple on it, and you can see the other side has the white on it. And what that does is it allows us, with one little punch of the fan brush, it will make those nice little, I don't know the names of those flowers, but they look really cool. And you can, you know, put as many or as few of these in as you'd like. And what I'm doing, if you notice here, I'm going back over the areas that I did last week so that it shows some continuity between the different brushes so that they're not all the same. And this is just a fun, quick, easy way of putting in these beautiful wildflowers into our painting. So I'll load up again and put in a few more. Just, where do I want them? I want one that's maybe right here by these trees. I think that'll look good. Nice pop against our tree trunk there. I think we'll call that enough of those little wildflowers. You know, and you can put in as many of them as you'd like, or as few. It's up to you. So then what I want to do, just as a finish, is I want to bring in some of these grasses that are across here in our foreground. And I'm going to take a little more time with this than what I probably need to, but I think this is really important. I have so many people that struggle with this, and I just want to take some time and really give you some direction as to how to do these sprigs of grass. So what I did was I've loaded up my script brush with a lot of paint thinner. I've got this mixture that we use on our grass here by the trees, and we're going to take and use the same color. We'll vary the color here a little bit in a minute, but I'm mixing that up good, that paint thinner, into it, wanting to make sure that this is in fact a ink-like consistency, not water. We want it ink-like. And then I just take, and once I've got the brush loaded up, I take and roll the brush so we've got a really nice point on there. The thing too that I want to show you is, so many times when I do lessons, people, I notice, are using it like a pencil, and they're trying to do it like this. That doesn't work very good. What you need to do is you need to be way out on the end of the handle, and by doing that, it allows you to take and be really free with those strokes, and you know, make these curl around, go different directions. It's all, you know, grass especially, you know, as it gets blown and it bends over, and sometimes they have little seed pods that are on there, and just so you kind of know how I do a seed pod or bent over is just go up and down, and it just gives the illusion. The eye picks it up and goes, oh, that's a bent grass blade there. And as you can see, I'm varying the direction, varying the amount of strokes that I do in an area. And again, this is a personal preference. You can do this with as thick as you want or as thin as you want of grass strokes or grass blades. I'm grabbing in just a little bit more of that cad yellow, and need some more paint thinner to get that a little more fluid. And this is the part that so many people struggle with, is getting that paint the right consistency. And you know, the only way to do it is just by practicing. And I've got students that will just take and get a canvas and do nothing but just work on these strokes. These strokes that we're doing for grass is actually part of the process of getting where we're doing the limbs. And so if you can perfect getting that paint the right consistency, it's going to help you when you start doing those limbs. And you can see, you know, my brush is kind of just going, I vary which direction it goes, and by keeping it really loose and out on the end of the handle, it allows that capability to do that. If you're holding it like you would a pencil, you don't have the freedom of the stroke, and it looks like you just place them in there. And we want it to look natural and free. So I'm putting some of these. I've talked about this before, and I think it's important too to bring it up again. If you notice, I was working over here on the left side, but I switched now over to the right side, and I did that for a reason. It's really easy to overwork one area of the painting. If you stay there and work on it, it ends up looking like it's overworked, and we want this to look very natural. And by taking and moving this, moving around on the canvas, even though we're doing the exact same thing, it makes it look a little more consistent rather than just working in one area all the time. So, you know, some of these, just if you want them thicker, then all you do is just hit the canvas, collapse those bristles down, and get a wider stream there onto the canvas. They're very obviously varying of degrees of. Some of them are big and thick, and some are really thin. So this is one of those things that you can take and vary these colors and layer these and layer these and layer these, and you can really make this look really intense with grass. If you've noticed too, the other thing I want to point out is that if you notice that underpainting, those colors that we used as the base of the greens in there, even though you don't see all of the blades of grass, by just highlighting some of these on the outside, it makes them pop out and you can see them better. So that's the whole point of doing the underpainting, is making sure that we're getting the color on that we're going to use, and then we can highlight with a lighter color on top of that. And I think with that, we're going to call that painting good. You could, you know, take and work this a little bit more if you wanted, maybe bring in some more wildflowers a little closer up if you wanted, do a little bit more with the water if you wanted to. Again, this is your painting. You work it the way you would like to. But I think we're just going to call that one good, and it turned out really nice. And next week, like I said, we'll start in on our penguin painting. So that'll be exciting. I've never painted a penguin before, so it should be a fun show for me to do and for you to watch. I want to leave you with a couple of things. You know, right now, our society, and it has been for a long time, one of the biggest money-making industries is the beauty industry. Whether it be hair products, makeup, body modifications, our society is obsessed with the outside beauty and the appearance, clothing, and all of the things that we try to do to make ourselves, present ourselves to look good and meet societal standards. And I'm not going to make any comments about that. There's some of us that it doesn't matter what we do, we're only going to look as good as what we do. And I don't care how much money I spend, I'm still going to look like I am. But what I think I want to talk about is something that's I think, left aside often in our society. We spend time spending money on products, on clothes, on exercise programs, all sorts of things to make our outside appearance look good. And we ignore probably the most important thing, and that's what's inside, the beauty that's inside each of us. In order to make the outside look good, it takes time. To make the inside look good takes time. I think we oftentimes in our society don't take time to work on developing and making the beauty that's within us, develop it to where it will shine into the world. I'm not saying this to toot my horn, but I spend 2 to 3 hours every day in prayer, meditation, reading. A lot of times people don't say, I don't have that kind of time in my life to do that. You know, we spend time and develop relationships by spending time with somebody. The only way you're going to learn about them is to spend time with them and to get to know them. Oftentimes I think we don't know ourselves because we don't spend any time with ourselves to learn who we are. And I think if you will take some time out of your day, you don't have to spend hours on end, but I think it's important to spend time every day with the TV off, your phone on silent, radios off, taking a few minutes of just meditation, thoughtful reflection about your life, about hearing what your body and what your mind and soul is telling you, and a lot of times what God is telling you. And I think that that's probably the most important part. Our society is full of noise, lots of noise, things. There's a lot of people that can't even sleep at night without having a radio going or a TV going. And I think that's kind of sad because they have to have outside influences and noise in order to find peace. Try to find some peace in your own life. Take some time every single day to be with just you. Just you. You're important, and the only way to know you is to spend time with you. And I think that by doing that, the beauty that's inside of you then can be shown by your actions and your words to the people around you. They will see that beauty that emanates out of you. That's important. So our outside is important, but take and devote the time to bring out the beauty that's within you. Thank you for joining me here on Art and Soul. I appreciate your time, letting me into your home. Thank you. Have a creative week, a blessed week. And CJ, as always, I love you.